Oh, here we go! It's a new build. It's an Arcane build for level 81. 40 Arcane, 50 Vigor, 18 Dex, 14 Faith, 12 Strength, 16 Mind, 10 Endurance. And we're using the Regalia of Eochaid, +7. And Dragon Communion Seal, +7. Millicent's Prosthesis gets us 5 Dex, as well as a buff when we keep hitting stuff. Two Fingers Heirloom gets us 5 Faith, allowing us to cast some incantations. We also have a Wondrous Physic that gives us 10 additional Faith, so that we can cast even more incantations. So, in keeping with my tradition now of making a build that is focused around the idea of pulling off weird combos, here's some weird combos. Serpent Bow to poison people, and then we've got Poison Moth Flight to unpoison people, and to do some damage. That is not a true combo, but it's a true roll catch. If that makes sense. It's like a guaranteed roll catch, pseudo combo, if you will. And you will, because you don't have any say over it, because I am the one talking. And yeah, we're using the Scavenger Sword for that. I just thought it would be kind of neat to play around with it in a way that is different from, you know, what you typically see. It's occult infused, meaning it now has arcane scaling and does pretty decent damage. Poison Moth Flight, not great. For as hard as it is to hit, not great. But the real bread and butter of the build is Bloodflame Talons into Eochaid's Dancing Blade. This is fun. I'm really enjoying, obviously it's a straight sword, and it's a special straight sword, one that I haven't played around with yet. We've used the McKellen Knight Sword. We've used the Carrion Knight Sword. You know, quite a few straight swords. I love them, and you know they have special qualities, special abilities, whether it be, you know, blocking R2s or interesting R2s, heavy attacks R2s. So the Serpent Bow with the Serpent Arrows is, I mean, that's like 2 arrows tops to poison somebody. On this build. Arcane does not affect rot buildup, apparently. So, you know, if you tried to rot someone with this bow, it would take significantly more time. We are using the talisman, the Lord of Rot's Exaltation, or Kindred of Rot's Exaltation, where if someone's poisoned, we do more damage to them. Drinking that +10 Physic gets us the Briars incantations, which are actually kind of fun. I don't know the difference between the two yet in terms of their names. One creates a trail of briars, and one creates a ring of briars around you. The ring of briars around you has hyper armor, and a lot, but it takes a minute for it to start up. You used to be able to chain cast those briars, and you could do some really interesting stuff with them. Unfortunately, they got rid of being able to chain cast the briars. I'm not sure why, because it's not like they're super OP or anything. I guess they could be if you spec'd out, you know, specifically for them. We're using the Albinoric Staff because it scales with Arcane, so we had to level up Intelligence once from the Bandit. Are they still called Bandits? Starting class. Still called Bandits, right? This character is like, I wanted to make like a cool prisoner type, like a weird, you know, captured bandit. So I went with that because they had good Arcane to start with, and I was actually kind of worried that this build would be hard to spec out. I originally had planned to go to level 90 with this build, and it just became unnecessary after I saw how many talisman slots I was going to have to play around with. For whatever reason, it was just, you know, throw Millicent's Prosthesis, that's great for Eochaid and gives me 5 dex, that saves me 5 levels. Two Fingers Talisman, that saves me 5 levels on Faith. Drinking the Physic saves me levels on Faith, so I don't have to have that, 24 Faith to cast the Briar's incantations, which is very nice. And yeah, so I was able to keep this build at level 81, which is very nice. A small addendum to the Poison Moth Flight thing is it's actually pretty good in PvE. Strangely enough, I don't know how the damage is calculated. I feel like it might be like percentage based. It might just be flat damage, I don't know. But it feels like it's percentage based. And I say that because I was using Poison Moth Flight against the Giant, the Fire Giant. And it was just taking chunks off of his health. I would poison him, let him stay poisoned for a while. I would build up big damage with, Millicent's Prosthesis and the Winged Sword Insignia. Then I would hit him with Poison Moth Flight, and it was, just chunking his health. So I was surprised at Poison Moth Flight actually being pretty good in the game. But in PvP, it just doesn't do enough damage, and I don't really understand why. It's, it's a slow attack. It's very, what's the word I'm looking for here? Telegraphed. It doesn't make a lot of sense for it to be as bad as it is. And it's the one occasion where phantom hits, meaning you hit someone, they dodge. It's the one occasion where that works against status effect builds. So like, if you try and put someone to sleep and they dodge your attack, it still builds up sleep. If you try and frenzy someone and they dodge your attack, it still builds up frenzy. Poison Moth Flight will unpoison your opponent even if you miss, which is not great. It's the most honest. It's the most honest status effect attack in the game, I guess. But yeah, that's the build. That's some of the early invasions we've had with it. It's been a lot of fun. And I got to use the Regalia of Eochaid, which is something I was looking forward to. Also, the Prisoner's Hood, the Hood of the Guilty, gets a special... It looks cool when you put it on the Vulgar Militia chest. Try it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, thanks for watching. Later, y'all.